Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Bob Mathers. I work with customer success teams and revenue leaders to help them build more customers, grow those customers, and hit revenue goals. But rest assured, this is not about me. I'm genuinely excited, super excited to be talking to a uniquely talented and professional leader, Deniz Omurgonulsen. I know I didn't get
Very
that
good.
exactly right, but I'm getting better. From the leading hotels of the world. Deniz is in the midst of a really interesting journey with customer success. She's already got some great stories to share and insights that I know will resonate with anyone. Either maybe you're in customer success today or you're looking at customer success as a potential philosophy to adopt to keep more customers, create more engaging experiences. So I know this is going to be super interesting. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Welcome, Deniz.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. Like I said, we've been talking about this, so I'm super excited to finally get it done. So, why don't we start? Can you tell us a little bit about sort of your background in the leading hotels of the world? Because I wasn't an organization that I was familiar with before we crossed paths.
Absolutely. So, Leading Hotels of the World, we are a collection of 400 uniquely independent hotels in 80 countries. The company was actually founded in 1928. And what we do is we empower the independent hotel liaisons and hotels to stay independent. So we have 25 offices around the world. Our headquarters are in New York City. And we serve our member hotels to make sure that they do what they're great at, taking care of their customers. And my background is actually in hotel operations. After graduating from the Cornell Hotel School, I worked with Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts for 5 years. And I very quickly became passionate about hotel operations and service excellence.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so, how long have you been with leading then?
So, great question. 18 years. I don't know where time goes, but I was working in south of France for a project, and I saw the flag, the leading hotels of the world, on one of the most iconic and grand hotels. And I said to myself, I want to work for that company. So soon after I came back to New York, I connected with a hotelier, Cornell hotelier, who mentored me and got me into this great company. So 18 years, but it feels like yesterday. And I'm still as passionate about the purpose of the company to empower independent hotels to stay independent as I was 18 years ago.
Yeah, that's amazing. As an aside, I was talking to one of my colleagues, and she travels all the time. And I've been talking about my work with leading for a bit, and she was going through her camera roll because she was in Nice either last year, or a couple of
Oh,
years
this
ago,
is
and
exactly the
she
hotel
had
I'm
never heard
talking
of
about,
leading hotels, but
actually.
she was like, "Yeah, well, she it was the nicest hotel she'd ever been in," and she's like, "Is this the company you're working with?" I'm like, "Yeah, that is a pretty that's one of their flagship hotels." She was like, "Yeah, these guys are awesome." So it's just funny how yeah, it's one of those things you might not cross paths, and then when you do, you're everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you.
So one of the things that we've talked about this before, and it's so interesting, your journey about customer success, because it's not exactly a common term in the hospitality industry. So I was wondering if you could tell a little bit about how you even came across it and what you thought was so interesting about it when you first did.
Well, so my leader, Chris Walker and Shannon Knapp, actually two of my leaders, gave me the book called The Customer Success Professional's Handbook by Ashwin Vaidyanathan, talking about hard last names to pronounce, and Ruben Rabago. It was a great read. And for anyone looking to learn about customer success, I thought that was actually a really smart way to put the principles in a very clear format. And I realized that a lot of the concepts described in the book was very relevant to hospitality, although obviously it was written for technology. And it could be applied to our business. So I looked at Bashman on LinkedIn. I connected with him. I set up a call to chat. Obviously, he has a professional job, so he couldn't help me. But he actually, knowing that I want to apply these learnings at LHW, and I didn't know where to begin, he recommended that I contact Growth Molecules, and that's how I met you. So that was the start of our journey for customer success, which I'm really happy that we got to get started. It was really by reading a quick read.
Well, and that's such, I mean, what I love about that story is, when I tell it to people, uh, I'm like, who does that? Like, who reads a book? Hey, I'm going to look up this author. I'm going to reach out to them on LinkedIn. I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'm going to get their recommendations on where to start. It's just I love that story. And
Thank you.
I've sort of been using it as, source of inspiration for how do I need to do more of that and get off, and get away from procrastinating on things and say, yeah, hey, if Denise did it, maybe I can do it too. So yeah, that's always been one of my favorite parts of the story. And again, shout out to Amelia and
Absolutely.
Sabina at Growth Molecules, because they were
Mhm.
so
Of course.
instrumental in those early days, and we wouldn't be here without us or without them. So that was
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah. The So what do you think when you're reading that book? What were the key challenges that you were facing at leading that you thought, CS could address? Like, were there specific measures or very specific things you were hoping you were out looking for a different way of thinking to help address?
A great question, because the challenge was unique because our NPS was high from our members, our turnover was low, so none of the typical KPIs were actually a challenge for us. But I knew that it wasn't sustainable for the long term because our reoccurring revenue is fixed. It was fixed membership fees basically, and my
Mm-hmm.
team. Currently the new member experience team, they were busy and overwhelmed. And it kept coming up on the employee MPS, this note of basically being overwhelmed and not being able to produce quality work, and their hesitation. And I knew, although it was a problem at that point, it was going to be a
Mm-hmm.
problem in the long run. So I had to set up processes, systems in place to be able to really clearly articulate what we do, how we do it, and make it sustainable and consistent throughout. So that was really, I would say, the challenge that I had in my mind to overcome. And I realized that a lot of these principles of CS could be applied to hospitality.
Yeah, it's interesting. High NPS and low churn, not usually big problems. Um, but I think what you're saying is that it was what you were hearing from the team and the measures you had put in around employee NPS, that those things were going to become increasingly difficult to maintain if we didn't address what we were hearing from the team, which is
Exactly.
this idea that, we're just overwhelmed and busy all the time. And that's something that you talk to CS leaders across, virtually in every company, especially with some of the unique challenges that a lot of at least the tech companies are facing now. It's about how do we do more with less. We're not getting headcount. We're having to continually justify the headcount we have. And so, how are we going to create more playbooks, make this team more scalable to either support the growth or, whatever those challenges are? So, I think that's something that would really resonate. Now, the fact that you have that you were proactive in doing that, because frankly, I think that, at least in my experience, it's something that most people have to learn the hard way, and it's usually after we see the NPS dip and the churn increase and pressure on net retention revenue and things like that. It's only then that people say, "Oh wow, maybe customer success is the answer to our problems, or maybe another pass at customer success." So that's amazing that you were able to be more proactive about it.